Hello race fans and welcome to the season finale of the World Touring Car Series. It all comes down to this. Here at Daytona International Speedway, round 12, the end of what has been a thrilling season of touring car action, and we have a big title to decide. It's Corentin Guinez versus Ross McFarlane, and it's Peter Mackay and Nolan Rempel taking you through all the action today with 3 sprint races on the Daytona International Speedway. Nolan, what should we expect tonight in this incredible venue?
A whole lot of action, a whole lot of beating and banging, lots of side-by-side racing, and you know we're going to get to some pack racing when we get set to hit that oval once again, especially down the back straightaway and into NASCAR 3 and 4. You know there's going to be action aplenty everywhere you look. Couldn't pick a better place for a season finale.
Well, let's have a look at the points then and see how they stand right now as we head into this final round of the season. Corentin Guinez, we thought it had it all sold up, but the last couple of weeks it's turned on its head. Ross McFarlane trails by just 31 points, and with 85 points for each win out of the 3 races tonight, well, it's all to play for. Kieran Harrison is still in with a mathematical shout in 3rd, and Wojciech Savidovic and Karl Janssen, they're going to be battling over 4th place in the championship. In the AM standings, after 31 races, well, Jake Blackhall has been able to open up a 151-point lead, making himself more or less mathematically there, and we should be able to crown him champion by the end of the race meeting. Ben Gregory sits in a reasonably comfortable 2nd position, Neil Butler in 3rd, Tom Dadswell in 4th, and Michael Polishek, he rounds out the top 5, with Paul Smith just in with a shout of getting a top 5 in the AM standings. Pure Sims Esports, well, they lead the team standings from their major rivals, Core Sim Racing Orange, Core Sim Racing Black are in 3rd, Semper Racing in 4th, and Pure Sim SimLab, they sit in 5th position. Now, Daytona International Speedway is an arena of motor racing, steeped in history with some great opportunity for fantastic motor racing. You go into turn 1, very tight, nadgery little left-hander there, into the International Horseshoe, through the kink and onto the West Horseshoe. Again, another chance to just stuff it up the inside there. Then it's on to the famous Super Speedway where they hold the Daytona 500 and on towards the newly named Le Mans Chicane. Now, Team Mad driver Paul Smith, our very own Paul Smith, has put together a very handy track guide to tell us a little bit more about Daytona International Speedway and what the keys to today's race are going to be. Check it out.
Hello everybody, Paul Smith here from Team Mad, and welcome along to the final round of the World Touring Car Series here on RaceSpotTV. And what a venue, what a location for a season finale. A place where anything can happen, where Slipstream is king, could decide the championship here today. Daytona International Raceway, tricky track, and one that you've got to compromise your setup. You need speed around here. So that infield is going to be a little bit tricky for you. But the 3.5 mile road course, you got to contend with the oval as well. 31 degrees of banking up on the NASCAR's turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. 18 degrees of banking on the tri-oval. What's it like to do a lap around this venue? Join me. Here we are then, out on track for a lap of Daytona International Speedway. Coming up towards the start line, absolutely flat out from the exit, the bus stop chicane. Get your braking right, get your line right at the turn 1. Brake as late as you dare. Car wants to push wide there under braking, you've got to be careful. Through the S's here, flat out, there's pit exit. Move over to the left hand side to open up the International Horseshoe. Get the power on out of the hairpin. Let the car drift over to the right hand side for the little kink here. Again, absolutely flat out, use the curb. Look for your braking marker. Into the second of the International Horseshoes. Don't miss your apex like I did in my roll before the 24 guide. And then this is a crucial corner to get the run out of the corner. Not so much into it, but out of it, because you're going to carry this speed out of that corner all the way through NASCAR's turns 1 and 2 towards the bus stop chicane. Keep your foot absolutely welded to the floor, taking the glorious sunset that I've got here in this session. We will have sunset and night sessions in this championship finale. Look for the breaking point just before the 1. Carry the speed through the first part of the bus stop chicane. Don't cut too much or else you get that. You get an off-track penalty. If you cut more than that, you get a slow down penalty. So you've got to be really careful with the off-track penalties. And then through NASCAR turns 3 and 4 once again. As I say, foot absolutely welded to the floor. Slipstream is going to play a massive part in this round of the championship. There we are, across the line. I did a 57.1 there. Lap times will be a lot quicker than that, especially with the draft. Qualifying doesn't matter too much, but you want to be towards the front of the field because you want to keep in that lead pack. You will see groups of cars form up out there in tonight's racing. It's going to be a real slugfest as well, and the reverse grid draws are going to play a big part into the final round of this championship. I hope you enjoy it. Should be a good one. Thanks a lot for enjoying these track guides, and I'll see you again soon.
Big thank you there to Paul Smith for taking us around this Daytona International Speedway. Tonight we're going to race into the twilight, Nolan. At the moment, this is about as warm as it's going to get. 26 degrees Celsius. About perfect track conditions, I'd say.
Perfect track conditions indeed. 26 degrees down on the racetrack, 20 in the air. Very calm breeze as well. Partly cloudy as we get set to go racing into the evening. I would say perfect for some good old-fashioned touring car racing.
That it is, yeah. We're going to be just in the early evening now for our first race, then progress into full darkness by the end of the night. And well, the first blow in this championship finale has gone to Corentin Guinness, who's qualified on pole by 0.005 of a second from his teammate Carl Janssen. On row 2, it's Kieran Harrison just 0.07 back, and Ross McFarlane 3.5 off the pace, but in 4th place critically, so he's in that leading bunch. On row 3, it's Tom Dadswell, and the 4th of the Corson Racing cars, Oscar Mangan. So 4 Corson Racing cars in the top 6, that could be important. Wojciech Savinovic will roll off from 7th alongside Michael Polishek. Then it's Jack Sedgwick in the Honda, with Mark Fletcher rounding out the top 10. Michael Evdoka will start from 11th, followed by Jamie Rushworth in his Audi. Mikael Garcia will start 13th in his Hyundai Veloster, with AM Championship leader Jake Blackhall starting 14th. Then it's Pete Newman and Neil Butler, with Paul Smith and Ben Gregory on row 9. Starting 19th will be Andy Shiel in the Free M Honda Civic Type R, alongside Craig Williams in his Craig Setup Shop Honda. John Roberts will roll off from 21st in his boosted Hyundai. Then it's Ashley Beard, Sean Gardner and Ellis Stevens in the Semper Racing Hyundai Veloster. So the drivers are lined up behind the Porsche 911 pace car for the one and only time this season because, well, Nolan, maybe perhaps you can explain the difficulties of launching a standing start as we're used to in this series at Daytona in its unique curvature, shall we say.
The problem, of course, stems from the banking, and I've actually been victim to this a couple of times in the SimLab production car challenge back in my rookie days on iRacing when they used to do standing starts for that series. You launch the throttle, that car is immediately going to shoot to the right just because you're on that bank. It is going to want to make a hard right towards that wall. That is why just safer to start behind the safety car, and I think Race Control recognized that it probably wouldn't go so well, and you wouldn't really want to start with the start-finish line pile-up in the championship.
No, I think a rolling start is absolutely fitting for Daytona International Speedway, and the Porsche 911 pace car pulls off. Now, Paul Smith in his track guide very rightly said that it's going to be about bunch racing, there's going to be big packs of cars, and Corentin Guina is a championship leader. He has multiple allies around him, whereas Ross McFarlane, he's got 31 points to make up, and, well, he's a little bit short on teammates nearby, and he's going to hope that Michael Avdoka and Pete Newman can make their way to the front and help him as well, because this is going to be such a strategical battle as well. And we have 3 20-minute races for you tonight. 85 points for the winner in each of those races, with reverse grid draws for race 2 and race 3. It's been an unpredictable championship, it's been an exciting championship, and it comes to, well, what I'm sure will be a dramatic finale tonight here at the World Centre of Racing. Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. What a mecca of speed this place is, and what a place to close out the inaugural season of the World Touring Car Series. We're under the control of our pole sitter, Corentin Guina. Green, green, green. We're racing at Daytona. Down towards turn 1 they go, and Corentin Guina is holding a nice tight line there as well, with some real coverage from his teammates there behind him, Carl Jansen and Kieran Harrison. Oh, it's a good start there from Tom Dadswell. Excellent start from Tom Dadswell, but not a good start for Andy Shiel, and he's a bit of a Honda-shaped roadblock there, Nolan.
Andy Shiel getting a bit of a tip around. They were 3 wide through turn 1. It would not surprise me if that was what caused this. John Roberts, you saw, stopped as well as a result, but for now, more or less green up at the front of the field. Couple of cars into the grass, but a very, very clean start up at the front of this thing, where you've got Corentin Guina still launching away. Side by side, though, through the West Horseshoe for Jack Sedgwick, trying to pull around Wojciech Switovich, but it's not going to happen. Sedgwick has to fight this one back in the run down to turn 6.
We know that top-end speed is not the forte of the Honda Civic Type R. It's more in the infield section. We'll look to see that car be strong once they get up onto the high banks. Well, that really is Hyundai country. The horsepower really and the straight line speed really comes to the fore there as well. As Cedric a little bit hung out to dry there on the high line going through the super speedway, but back at the front it's the Corsim Racing Triumvirate. We've seen that so many times this season on all types of circuit. And can these 3 teammates break away from their rival, their collective rival, Ross McFarlane, in 4th in that white, black and blue Pure Sims Hyundai Elantra? So far, absolutely to plan for Corsim Racing, but what a start from Tom Dadswell. He's there in 5th position. Don't forget, he's in the AM class. That's a super start there.
Big problem, I would say, for Corsim Racing at the moment is the fact that because of these long oval straights, you are not going to be able to break away nearly as effectively in that 3-car pack as they would back in behind. So, we're still going to fight. Oh, it's contact between Fletcher as well as Jack Sedgwick. Sedgwick muscles his way up in a P9, and looks like Jimmy Rushworth wants to find a hole, and Mark Fletcher just going to be able to tuck it in. So single file down to turn number 1. Rushworth thought about forcing the issue, but that would not have ended well for either driver. Daytona, especially at turn 1, it's one of those places where if you end up making nose-to-tail contact, more likely than not, you're going to be the one that ends up going around.
Yeah, that braking zone into turn 1 I think is going to be a real hot spot for action tonight, because you've got a different change of surface, you've got a different change of angle of the banking onto the flat, and these TCR machines, when you're braking from high speed, the rear really does get quite tail happy. So you've got to be on top of it, and we could see a few drivers getting caught out under braking there as well. But you called it just right. It looked like Corson Racing were looking like maybe pulling a little bit of a gap early on, but these super speedway bankings are just well, they're just too long, and Ross McFarlane just one bit by bit reeling his way into the top order. Of course, we've seen Ross McFarlane race here amongst a number of his colleagues here in the BSR Kia Classic. Well, a couple of years ago now. It was in lockdown, and it was in the old Kia Optima. So Ross McFarlane knows this well, as do many other of the experienced touring car competitors here. Watch it. Sojinovic for one, Oscar Mangan for another. But we're right on board with Tom Dadswell, leading the AM class by 3 positions at the moment. Michael Polishek, he's second in the AM class in 8th spot, and that number 45 Hyundai Elantra.
No move in made for the lead. That is, of course, to be expected among the Core Sim Racing teammates. One driver on the move, though, is Oscar Mangan, trying to find the outside of Tom Dadswell. With no help, Dadswell will stay in front of his Altitude Esports number 38 Hyundai, but there's the lunge. Mangan, high side, takes it past Dadswell, trying to make a move on McFarlane as well. So that's a great outside lunge into 5th place, and that is how you execute a pass on the outside lane, and that's only really possible in touring car races such as this. Guaranteed, you saw 2 GT3 cars trying that, would not have nearly the same result. Tom Dadswell under fire by Michael Polishek, trying to find his way up in his machine there.
Well, that was such a brilliant move there from Oscar Mangan in the Corsim Racing Hyundai Elantra, going around the outside, and then that gave him then the inside for the run towards the International Horseshoe, as Jack Zetrick taking a slightly adventurous line there around the high side, if you like, and slots himself back in there in 8th position. Now he pounces on Dadswell, moves up into 7th before they take the run on to the Super Speedway. But that's McFarlane now really has his hands full. Corson Racing cars, 4 of them in the top 5. So McFarlane absolutely surrounded here. How is he going to handle this challenge, Nolan? That's the question.
To the bus stop chicane. On board with Polishek in the run down towards that bus stop chicane on the back straightaway. One car looks for the inside, trying to go for the move. Dadswell attacking Cedric as well to the bus stop. It's not going to happen. All 3 drivers tuck it in single file. That was so close to going 3 wide, and even going side by side from that chicane is risky enough as it is. 3 wide though, that has been proven time and time again in a huge variety of cars. It never ever works.
No, it doesn't. That's for sure. And yeah, it not only is it risky to go too wide, but it's also not a way to get a good run. If you don't get a run out of that Le Mans chicane, it's well, it really isn't it really isn't ideal for that run down towards the start finish, as they all fan out looking for position now into turn 1. And there's a big move on, that's Carl Janssen just edging Ross McFarlane out a little bit there. Now Janssen did have 3rd position. McFarlane had a look at it as well. Now is Mangan going to go by here on the outside of McFarlane? McFarlane holds the tight line on the inside of the International Horseshoe. Mangan tries to get the power down early. They're going to run side by side up towards the kink. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers. We might well see a Corsim Racing 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we do.
That was close to being a disaster. McFarlane taking the wise move there to back out, but he's going to immediately put the bumper to the number 99 Elantra, trying to get back past the Core Sim Racing rival right in front of him. But now, Core Sim Racing, even though you got such a big spread, and even though it condenses all the way back down on these oval bankings, I think it's still going to be a case of a Core Sim Racing domination once again in the opening race here. I mean, even if you can match up all the cars behind you, you don't have enough room to overtake all 4 cars in one go.
No, exactly, and of course the more cars in between, not only can Ross McFarlane not get at Corrington Green as his championship rival, the cars in between them are taking points away as well, so it's kind of double trouble there. And of course, Sim Racing can now actually, dictate the pace. Oscar Mangan could be that little bit more gentle through that hairpin, just back the field up a little bit. As you can see, there's a huge train forming behind Ross McFarlane, so he's vulnerable now, very vulnerable. Indeed, now who is that? It's got a slowdown penalty. Is that Janssen? I think it maybe is. Yes, it is. Carl Janssen. Well, that's what you've got to be careful of. At the bus stop chicane, he's cut the chicane, and iRacing has given him a slowdown penalty where you have to slow down for a certain amount of time. And on a track like this, it's so punishing, and that has dropped Mangan right out of that leading group.
And that
Janssen, sorry.
And that would have happened on the exit of the bus stop chicane as well. And in fact, it's going to get physical behind. I think Janssen just sent a car in the back for a ride. You see the smoke, but still double file up towards the front of this thing. Cars weaving left and right, trying to find a way through. Look out for Jake Blackall to the inside. Sends Fletcher into the International Horseshoe. But Blackall holds the bottom, and Fletcher going to get the run on corner exit from turn 3, and he'll just hang on against the 97 car there. A good job on Fletcher to get that Audi back under control. That could have been absolutely disastrous for the 111 if he had been sent into the turn 3 wall.
Yeah, good save there from Fletcher as well. I do wonder if Blackall just allowed him to tuck back in after that little nudge, possibly, but nevertheless, Fletcher gets himself back in the game as well in 11th position. Now, what does this mean then? Let's see if we can see what happened to Janssen. This is, yep, that's not by much, but it's enough to cause a slowdown penalty, the dreaded slowdown penalty for any iRacer, but particularly in this circuit. This is about the last place in the whole of the iRacing simulator that you want to get a slowdown penalty, because everyone else is absolutely full throttle. And we just saw there just how many positions Janssen lost. Now, that means then that Ross McFarlane has a little bit of a clearer path to the front, but can he get on the case of the Sim Racing drivers? What will his strategy be? Because of course, Nolan, like we've seen so many times this season, Sim Racing have charged off at the front in race 1, but race 2 and 3 has been a different matter.
Get a chance to see it here. McFarlane going to be going on the attack. Oscar Mangan trying to hang on to his number 99 Elantra. They're closing up to Harrison and Gwynn, who's at a rapid rate of knots. Harrison moves up to block the line. That's good teamwork there from Sim Racing, and that's going to box McFarlane in. He can't go anywhere. That was a great move there on Harrison to box McFarlane in to keep him side by side with Oscar Mangan. It might put the third place driver, though, at a bit of a risky place, though, in the run down in towards turn 3. Mangan still has to hang out around the outside lane. But Ross McFarlane, I think, might just get this one here out of the International Horseshoe. Run down to the King once again. Who's going to break later? Mangan's got the overspeed. McFarlane's going to look to fight this one out side by side through turn 4 down to the West Horseshoe. McFarlane still side by side. Has been this way for about half a lap now.
Very firm, fair racing there from both drivers, giving good racing room, allowing the racing to continue for, as you say, for about half of a lap as well. But this is where it's going to matter now. They come out onto the super speedway again, and McFarlane's had to give best, and he might get freight trained here as well. Yep, Wojciech Savidovic has fancied a bit of a look at this as well, and McFarlane is absolutely hung out to dry with no slipstream. Of course, with Savidovic in the orange car, he's getting a big, or the black and orange car, excuse me, is getting a big tow from Oscar Mangan, and McFarlane has no tow, so he's kind of a little bit hung out, he's got left out in the cold there as well. But I tell you what, that Pure Sims Elantra's got some really good straight line speed. They've obviously set it up nice, and they've set it up nicely as Savidovic tries to go too wide into the chicane and is punished for it.
You saw McFarlane, though, just pounce and take full advantage of that. Now here comes Jack Sedgwick. Will he think for 3 wide? We've also got Carl Janssen, who wants to find his way back in front of this thing. It looks like we're going to be 2 wide. 2 rows deep. Almost went for 3. Thought for a brief second as well. They might even try for 4. That would have been too risky, though. Polishek to the high side. It's going to be 3 wide into the tri-oval. McFarlane still has the outside lane. He's got a little bit of draft as Mangan tracks out to make the turn in for the apex at turn 1. Swerdovic hard on the brakes, trying to keep McFarlane at bay. Sedgwick getting pinched in right at the apex. Jansen's got nowhere to go. Neither does Polishek. Tom Dadswell now in the thick of this thing as well. The top 2 started to break away. Well, it's a mad scramble for positions deeper in the field. Well, that's Simso Honda continues to try to fight the outside lane, but Swerdovic pulls clear for 4th.
Well, this has been a bit of a disaster here for Ross McFarlane, because not only has he got snarled up in the pack there as well, Harrison and Guinez have made a great breakaway at the front. So Guinez and Harrison now nearly a second to their teammate Mangan, and then meanwhile McFarlane, he's back down into 6th spot. He cannot afford to give these positions away to Corentin Guinez, because this championship will be slipping out of his hands. The gap is 31 points coming into this race, 85 for a win. But if McFarlane were to finish in 6th where he is right now, he would lose 16 points to Guinez, giving himself a big mountain to climb.
Still 2 races to go, though, and don't forget, remember what happened last week over at Silverstone when you had Guinez encounter some major struggles in race 2, not scoring any points. Oh, that's a big block from McFarlane down to the inside. Carl Jensen tracks back out to the wall. McFarlane blocking left and right, almost shoved Jensen down onto the apron, but Jensen was able to keep it steady. I think just managed to escape an incident there, but McFarlane almost turned himself as he tried to keep Jensen behind him.
Yeah, if you go into a side-to-side battle with a fist-to-fist battle with Carl Janssen, you better be ready for it. He's one of the hardest racers in this championship. As Cedric now is going to have a look on Savidovic. Cedric in the blue and yellow Honda, Savidovic in the orange and black Hyundai Elantra. And Cedric pulls out, but that Honda just does not have the straight line speed to be able to get the move complete. And Savidovic, big, deep run on the brakes there. And can Cedric use the chassis of the Honda to get in there? No, not quite. And in fact, might leave an opportunity here for McFarlane to try and squeeze through. Oh, I thought he was going to hit the pit wall there, Nolan. That was so close.
Side by side to the S's is almost as risky as going too wide. Through the backstretch it came, but I think it's just a little less riskier only because of the lower speeds. McFarlane's got the inside on Sedgwick into the kink, and Sedgwick going to be trying to pinch in that Pearson's Hyundai Elantra side by side. West Horseshoe now. Carl Jansen trying to find a way through as well. I believe it'll be 1 lap to go, potentially this next time by, with 5.5 minutes left on the clock, maybe 2. Time starting to run out, though, for Ross McFarlane to punch his way back up into the top 5 if he wants to score some kind of points to save his first race on the night.
Yeah, that's really important to try and get the result in the bag here for Ross McFarlane. There's nothing much he can do about. Oh, it's got one of the Velosters running slow there on the apron as well. But we ride on board now with Polishek. He's got a really good view here to McFarlane on the left, Janssen on the right as they head up towards the Le Mans chicane. Who is going to have the guts here as well? They break at almost the same point. Janssen's having a big look in it as well. McFarlane's going to have to hang all the way around the outside, and he does so, and gives Janssen a little bit of a hip and shoulder, and there goes Polishek in the full send Hyundai.
Excellent move there from McFarlane, though. He did what he had to do to hold Carl Jansen off, and now he's going to have a huge head of steam to draft him with the cars at the front of the field. You ride on board with the Full Send Racing Hyundai Elantra. Jansen makes the move. Polishek going to cut down and actually go to help out McFarlane. So Jansen left with no help in the run down towards turn number 1. And it looks like it'll still be a dead heat for each other down into the opening corner. Carl Jansen still holds the outside lane, but he can't hold it on enough. Tracks out almost into the grass. So McFarlane hangs on while they continue to duke it out for second. And now for the lead almost as Swerdovic tries to punch her ticket to the podium.
Yeah, Savidovic is driving a super race here, and he's now he's broken up that Corsim Racing stronghold at the front of the field. That was not in the plan, I must be honest. I thought Guinez and Harrison were just gone at the front, but it just shows you the effect that the slipstream has here on this type of circuit, with the car in front punching such a big hole in the air, and with these touring cars, they're quite blocky, relatively unaerodynamic shapes. So yeah, they do kick a pretty big hole in the air. So what can Savidovic do? Remember, Savidovic is trying to seal up 4th place in the championship. He came into this round just 3 points ahead of Janssen.
Look at all the cars shifting up to the outside lane, trying to give each other a big head of steam. And I like this, right? Because the higher you are up on the banking, the better of a run you have down the straights once you get out of the corners, because of that downhill slope that is very, very pronounced. But even this camera shot here really showing just how big that can be. Swerdovic, outside lane, Harrison defends. Swerdovic backs out, tries to go for the over-under, maybe hoping to unsettle the Corsim Racing car's momentum. Not going to happen, though. So Kieran Harrison now on sole defense. Corentin Guinez up in front, but he is a sitting duck if any of these drivers decide to make a huge lunge behind him.
Yeah, Guinez, this is a huge opportunity if he can get into turn one with a reasonable advantage. Then he's just got to really go for it on the road course, try and build up some sort of a gap. But Savidovic is really on the charge here as well. He's got a great run around the outside of Harrison. Now, what will Harrison do here, of course, because they are of course rivals in their Savidovic still in with a mathematical chance of getting third in the championship, let alone fourth. So he'll be wanting to get all the points that he possibly can here as well. But just a little bit compromised there coming down towards the International Horseshoe. And Cedric's going to have a look now in the blue and yellow Honda, and Savidovic closes the door, but that just allows Guinez and Harrison a little bit of extra breathing room again.
Well, see McFarlane trying to make the move on the number 99 car to go once again for a top 5 spot. This is going to get tight into the West Horseshoe. That's the thing. These drivers are still braking as if they're single file, and those braking points not accounted for the fact that each other are still around them. But these touring cars just stop so nicely that they're able to get away with it. One cone gets kicked to the curb, and Ross McFarlane inside of turn 6, but you just can't make a move. You can't get the hammer down when you're on the inside like that. Turn 6 really is a one-line corner, and you're not going to be able to carry any speed through it going double file like that.
Yeah, and look at this, the two Core Sim racing cars up on the high line. I think that they're going to try and go for a bump draft here and go by Ross McFarlane, who's now absolutely hung out to dry. And I think he might well have his hands full here. Ross McFarlane in the white and blue, Pure Sims Hyundai Elantra, through go the two Core Sim racing cars. There they are. And this is the problem that McFarlane has. He, you know, in pack racing, everyone's for themselves, but when you've got so many drivers on the same team racing against you, then it is really, really tough here for McFarlane. He's having to work double hard. And meanwhile, Cedric, he's right up on the high line. I wonder if he's got a slowdown penalty. I think so.
He's off the throttle, but not surprised if he did get a slowdown penalty. In fact, he has exited the bus stop chicane once again. 1 lap to go, this time by for 30 seconds. Now on the clock. And there's the move. Swerdovic to the outside of Kieran Harrison. Thought about it, couldn't make it stick. Harrison runs a bit deep, but Swerdovic only follows him through. Ross McFarlane and Oscar Mangan also still side by side for 5th.
This has been a really controlled, smooth drive from Corentin Guinez under so much pressure. He's got everything to lose. He's got that championship lead, but he has not flinched at the front of the field. On a track like this, so difficult to hold that lead. He has had near coverage, sure, but he has done the job. He's hit his apexes, but can he hold off Wojciech Savidovic? Because Savidovic is on the charge here.
Swerdovic just trying to go for a 2nd place, and now I think not quite single file out just yet. McFarlane right at the back of the shot, still trying to make something work as Kieran Harrison hits the oval, and once again immediately goes all the way up to the outside lane, and Swerdovic not going to give the core drivers a chance to link up together. Swerdovic going to be sticking right in line with Kieran Harrison. Now they start to drift back down up against that yellow line as Kieran Harrison tries to make the move to get up to Corentin Guinez, while Swerdovic just tries to punch his ticket up to 2nd.
Yeah, let's see how this one's going to shake out. I think Guinez, well, is he clear? Does he have enough of a gap? He may well do if he's getting coverage from his teammate Kieran Harrison behind out of the Le Mans chicane for the final time in this opening race of the night. It's Guinez up ahead by about half a second, but here comes Savidovic. He's got a good run on Harrison, and is it going to be enough? This is going to be tight when it comes to the line. Here comes Savidovic. He pulls out of the draft. Is it going to be enough? He's going for the side draft now as well, trying to make his way past Harrison. Harrison holds his line as well. Oh, almost. They touch ever so slightly as they run to the line. Checker flags in the air. Guinez is flashing his lights. He thinks he's got it. Harrison's on the apron. Over the line they go. It's a photo finish, but Guinez, your winner.
And Swerdovic just stole 2nd place at the finish line. We're talking with feet to go. And you know what the difference was? When Harrison went onto the apron of the tri-oval, he scrubbed off about a mile an hour of speed. That was the decider.
Oh, Kieran Harrison will be kicking himself after that. 18,000th of the second. Wow. In what? How long is that? Well, it's probably about the length of Lightning McQueen's tongue. Oh, what a motor race. But that's Daytona for you. That is Daytona at its very best. Let's get another look at this then as well. So, Harrison. Now, who was that behind Harrison? I think it was Janssen. And I wonder, Nolan, do you think that contact between Janssen and Harrison had an effect on the speed, possibly?
I think it was a combination of all three, because Swerdovich was also getting argy-bargy with him. So what happened was Harrison and Swerdovich, they made door-to-door contact. That checked him up into Carl Janssen, who also got into the back of Harrison, not helping the issue. And I think all of that combined is what led to that last lap overtake where Swerdovich escaped that second bit of contact and was able to just charge around the outside lane on the proper part of the racetrack.
Well, Corentin Guinez scores his 8th victory of the season at, well, the most important time. But let's see what the order of reverse grid is going to be here for race 2 of 3 this evening. And this decides the grid. This is vitally important. And is it going to be 28? A big number. Wow, this would be almost a complete reverse. Yes, it would. This would be a complete reverse. Is the spinning wheel going to stop? It is. Oh, Nolan. Oh, my. Oh, wow. We're going to have a full reverse grid here. Wow. Well, let's have a go on.
I was going to say, for the first time of the season, yes?
Oh, you're testing me now, Nolan. I'm testing. Well, certainly an incredible time to have one. Well, Corentin Guinez, then, your winner, scoring the victory at the exact right moment. He got home in first, just ahead of Wojciech Savidovic, charging through in his Semper Racing Hyundai Elantra. Kieran Harrison rounded out the top 3, with Carl Janssen in 4th and Oscar Mangan in 5th. Championship contender Ross McFarlane, all he could do was 6th. All these core sim racing cars making a very big nuisance of themselves, doing exactly what they need to do to keep the Scotsman away from gaining another iRacing touring car title. Tom Dadswell was your AM class winner, just edging out Jake Blackhall and no more. And with Jack Cedric and Pete Newman, they round out the top 10. Neil Butler finished in 11th, followed by Ben Gregory, Jamie Rushworth, Paul Smith and Mikel Garcia. Fraser Smith was 16th, coming from the back of the grid, with Craig Williams in 17th, Mark Fletcher 18th, Elliot Roberts in 19th and Ashley Beard rounding out the top 20. Then it was Michael F. Doka, Sean Gardner, Michael Polishek, Dan Murray, John Roberts, Ellis Stevens and Andy Shield.
Holy cow.
Oh, yes, that's one way to put it. That's for sure. Well, a full reverse grid. We have had it before a couple of times, but tonight here at Daytona, that pack racing mentality. It's going to be tough for these course and racing drivers, but they have strength in numbers. That's good. We're going to say that a lot tonight, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what'll be very interesting is to watch this points battle swing back and forth, because as it turns out, it's a little bit closer than we imagined going into the night. You mentioned, of course, at the top of the night, 31 points. Turns out that was without a couple of the drops being factored in. It was actually 11 points between the top 3 in the standings for the Pro Championship. It is going to be just absolutely enormous what every single position on the track is going to mean over the course of the night.
Goodness, well, that is a change. So there's been a late calculation is what we're saying.
If for all intents and purposes, yes, that's exactly what has happened here.
Right, so so that we're clear, that brings Kieran Harrison right back into not just mathematical contention, but absolute contention.
And it is looking as though now that the point standings have been tallied up for the Pro, this is just for the Pro Championship, again, keep in mind, Corentin Guinez has fallen back a bit. Ross McFarlane in the points lead, as it appears, 40 points clear now of Corentin Guinez, who's got a lot of work ahead of him.
Okay, I see, and that's to do with the drop scores then, I take it?
Yes, that's what I'm assuming here.
Right, so Ross McFarlane's... So, in effect, coming into that race, he had an enormous championship lead then, after the drop scores were taken into account.
That's what it's appearing to look like. So it's flip-flopping back and forth so much. And I mean, it's making it really entertaining to watch how every single race is going to factor in. But I think this really has just driven the point home about how absolutely critical every single race has been. Nobody has been able to let their guard down. Nobody's been able to have a bad result even once. Or this is the exact type of situation that happens. You end up having yourself on the back foot, which is not where you want to be entering a championship round.
No, definitely not. That's for sure. I mean, if you look at the stats, I mean, that was Guinness's 8th win of the season. Whereas with McFarlane, he's only had 2 wins this season. Kieran Harrison has had 4. Carl Janssen has had 5 race wins. So that kind of tells the story of how Guinness has been fast. But when he's had a bad round, well, it's been particularly bad.
Yeah, it would certainly seem to be that way. So this could prove to be a bit of an interesting run as we take a look at some of the more exciting moments over the course of what happened throughout the race. There was the slowdown penalty from that number 92 car, Carl Janssen, that saw him tumble all the way down. You got the double file fights between the core teammates as well as Ross McFarlane. That was right after Harrison made the move to keep Ross McFarlane really boxed in, and you can see that really had a lasting impact as it kept him in a side-by-side battle with Oscar Mencken throughout the next half of the lap that allowed Harrison to build another gap out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was all going on there as well in that race. Lots of shuffling around, and how is it going to play out in race 2? Well, with the full reverse grid, Ross McFarlane will start from 23rd on the grid. Corentin Guinez will start at the back of the grid. But how quickly can that course and racing group come through? For McFarlane, Nolan, you've got to think that McFarlane's got to get on it quickly and try and make a break in the leading group, or at least try and get some sort of coverage between himself and the emerging course and racing group.
Indeed, he's going to have to use every last bit of energy that he's got in that car and in the talent that he's got. There was the finish. You could see the bobbles that almost resulted in our top 2, 3, and 4 being taken out of contention right there on the last lap in the last corner, but just managed to recover that one to make it still a phenomenal run throughout the field.
Certainly was, yes. So we can, for those watching, wondering about where we are in terms of points, this is we should clarify that. I think, Nolan, it's pretty important, I would say, to the outcome of what we are watching tonight. To be absolutely clear, after this race, we have 2 races to go. Two races to go, full stop from now. And Ross McFarlane leads the championship by 40 points from Corentin Guinez. Kieran Harrison is 193 points back. So it is only between Ross McFarlane and Corentin Guinez. So Ross McFarlane, Corentin Guinez, they are the championship contenders. However, it is around a different way to what we thought. And that all comes down to, dear viewer, comes down to the drop scores, where the drivers get 2 drop weeks out of the 12 rounds. They can drop their 2 worst scores, and that's where the 2 scores being dropped by Guinez have been bigger losses than McFarlane.
Drop weeks. It's always an interesting system that allows for much bigger changes in the running order than I think any of us are really used to. I mean, it'll be interesting for sure to see how that's going to play out, especially as we continue to get deeper and deeper into this race as well. So who knows what this second event will be coming on up for us in a few minutes' time.
Well, let's get a bit of perspective and see what it was like in the heat of the battle there. Team Mad's Paul Smith joins us now in the commentary box here on RaceSpotTV. Paul, we knew it was going to be chaotic there. Your track guide said as much, but what was it like in the heat of the battle there, my friend?
That was exciting, exhilarating, enthralling, brilliant. It was fantastic stuff. I've got a big smile on my face, and I finished 14th, so I don't know what it's like for those guys up near the front, but the pack that we had was just, those last three laps or so was absolutely incredible, and fair play to everyone.
It's certainly exciting to watch. I mean, and you've got a couple of different cars in the field, Paul. Which car do you think's got the edge on the high banks? Is it the Elantra, the Civic, the Veloster? What do you reckon?
The Civic's actually got a really good top end. I mean, in the slipstream, it's got a really good top speed compared to the Audi, especially. The Elantra and the Veloster, though, just have that sort of mid-range grunt, I think, whereas the Honda just lacks that little bit out the corners, and I think that's where it lacks there. And that's part of the reason why the balance of performance was brought in partway through the season for the Elantra and the Veloster. I mean, I was topping out at 253 kilometers an hour down into turn 1 in the draft, whereas not in the draft it was about 244. So gaining a good 8 or 9 kilometers an hour just by being in the draft, it's as I said in my track guide, it's key round here.
It is, yes, it absolutely is. I mean, now going into the night time, temperature cooling off. Any setup tweaks for the rest of the day, Paul?
Nah, just drive it fast and hard. That's all I'll be doing. At the end of the day, I've not got a championship to fight for, so I'm just out there to have some fun. I mean, I believe that Jet Blackall has won the AM championship with that race 1 result, so congratulations to him. For your 2 pro championship contenders of Guinness and Ross McFarlane, I mean, I'm not going to make it easy for them. I'm not going to put them at jeopardy, but at the same time, I'm not just going to move over for them. So they're going to have to work at it.
Whoa, fight and talk. That's what we like to hear, Paul. But you're quite right. It's
well, I've got my own race to race.
Exactly.
You see,
of course you do. Absolutely.
I need to get the best result for me.
Of course you do. And jumping out the way can be more dangerous than just holding your line as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts on the championship overall, Paul? Here we are at the final round, 12 rounds in with I think it's 34 races in total. Your thoughts on how the championship's gone for you?
I think it's been a learning season, with it being the first time that the series has been run. So I know for a fact that the admins will take on board feedback from the drivers, and they're always welcome to new drivers as well. Check out the World Sim Racing website for details. But yeah, it's certainly been good. I think there was a couple of sort of teething issues in the season that's been sorted out, and I've enjoyed it. I might have not have enjoyed round 1 at Silverstone when I was in the wall, but you know. but overall, it's been an enjoyable season. I've had fun.
Well, it's certainly been fun watching it, and I think on behalf of all of us at RaceSpotTV, and I'm sure our viewers will agree, thank you for all your wonderful track guides. They're a combination of history lesson and driving lesson all in once.
Oh, not so much the driving lesson, but yeah.
Go get him in race 2, Paul. Good luck.
Will do. Take it easy, guys.
Cheers. So that was Team Mad's Paul Smith joining us. Always good for a chat is Paul Nolan.
It's always a pleasure to be able to bring him up and be able to give him a little bit of a chit-chat, pick his brain about a couple of things. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to talk to him again between races 2 and 3. Starting to get a little bit closer, though, into the evening. In fact, we are well into the evening now. You can even see the stadium lights have now flicked on over the World Center of Racing.
Yes, this is where Daytona becomes it is just beautiful. So this is we'll try and alleviate the confusion here for you. There's been a little bit of recalculating going on behind the scenes, and we can now confirm that Corentin Guinez leads the championship by 20 points from Ross McFarlane. So there you go. So mathematically, Kieran Harrison just about still in with a shot, but realistically not really. It's all down to Guinez and McFarlane, and the outcome will be decided over the next 2 20-minute races. So do not go anywhere. We'll have all the action for you here on RaceSpot TV. A huge thank you to our sponsors for this series. 3M UK. 3M produce wonderful protective racewear, fire-resistant racewear for in the race car or in your go-kart as well. In fact, most of the British touring car grid, amongst many other series around the world, trust 3M to keep them comfortable and safe in the race car, from head to toe, from boots, race suit and gloves, as well as protective fireproof underwear. But also 3M produce a pair of sim racing specific gloves designed for racing in your home simulator, which gives you great grip and stop your hands from sweating as well, which gives you good purchase on the wheel so you can lower your lap times. Another way to lower your lap times as well is to pop onto the Craig Setup Shop website and get yourself a setup specifically for each and every car on the iRacing platform, and circuit specific setups as well. So pop on there to Craig Setup Shop. A couple of their cars are taking part in this series. Jack Sedgwick, top Honda in race 1, so their setups clearly set up very well indeed. Nolan, they are gathering up behind the Porsche 911 pace car, nearly ready to go. So John Roberts and Dan Murray will start on the front row, with Michael Polishek and Sean Gardner on row 2. Michael Avdoka and Ashley Beard are on row 3. Elliot Roberts and Mark Fletcher are on the 4th row, with Craig Williams and Fraser Smith on row 5. Then it's Mikael Garcia and Paul Smith. Row 7 sees Jamie Rushworth and Ben Gregory, followed by Neil Butler, Pete Newman, Jack Sedgwick and Jake Blackhall. Rolling off from 19th is Tom Dadswell, followed by Ross McFarlane, Oscar Mangan, Carl Jansen, Kieran Harrison and Wojciech Savidovic, with Corentin Guinez starting 25th, with Ellis Stevens and Andy Shield right behind them on our 27-car grid. So, apologies for confusion, folks, on the points. We've got that all set up now as well. Corentin Guinez leads by 20 points from Ross McFarlane. So, 2 races to go, 85 points for a win. It is all to play for. And it will be another 20 minutes of racing here as the lights are on at Daytona International Speedway. And Nolan, your predictions here for this one?
I predict we're going to begin all the action ahead of race 1 and a little bit more, and I would imagine probably a spill somewhere along the lines of as well, and I would be looking for that right around your championship contenders.
Okay. We will have the green flag for you in just a moment. Headlights are on, floodlights are on around Daytona International Speedway. As they come through to the tri-oval as well, the Porsche 911 pace car will pull away and we will head into another 20 minutes of racing. The penultimate round of the World Touring Car Series is underway. Green flag in the air at Daytona. Down towards turn 1 they go, jostling for position. It's got a spin out. Rushworth's in the wall and Dadgell in the wall. Sedgwick has been caught up. I think McFarlane also. One of the Pearson's cars, or was that Pete Newman? It could have been. Oh, one of the Pure Sims Elantras getting caught up in the wall there as well. Oh, it's all going on here going into turn 1. We said it earlier on, Nolan. It's a danger spot and it certainly played out there.
Ross McFarlane did manage to escape that, and that is immediately rocketing him up inside the top 10 because of that smash. And look at that, one of the Pearson's cars just moved aside to let him through. Pete Newman also escaped that. Jamie Rushworth is still fine. So I like this. The Pearson's cars doing everything they can to try to get their boy McFarlane up into the points lead at the end of this race, but that is a huge smash, and somehow that didn't take out more cars.
Yeah, you're right, Nolan. That was very lucky. Whoa, spin for one, or half spin for one of the boosted Elantras as the Pure Sims cars get going. That was Ben Gregory, who really got toughed out to the edge of the circuit there and lost a lot of momentum. But at the front is John Roberts leading the way from Michael Polishek and Michael Avdoka. But through towards the bus stop chicane they go for the final time. I knew I was going to do that tonight. Now the newly named Le Mans Curve, formerly the bus stop, is John Roberts, then from Polishek, then it's Avdoka in the first of the Audis, then it's the Hyundai Elantra of Ashley Beard with Elliot Roberts rounding out the top 5 in the Honda.
So far a good launch, and You can see this is going to start to really kick off here as drivers try to make those moves. Fraser Smith looking for the outside, right behind on Elliot Roberts in his CSS Honda Civic. Battle for the lead as well. Michael Polishek going to go to the point. John Roberts falls to second. Here comes Michael Evdoka trying to put a Pearson's car up onto the top step as well. Lunging for the outside lane. We go side by side. Evdoka too wide through turn one, and that will allow the full send racing Hyundai Elantra into the race lead.
Great move there from Michael Polishek. We've seen him driving so well this season, and of course hitting the front overall, and of course in the AM class as well. Michael Evdoka, he's the first of the pro class runners in third. Right, let's try and dissect what happened here as well. So Dadswell and Rushworth, hard into the tires, and then I think it was Pete Newman, Ross McFarlane's teammate, who nearly got caught up with that. Might have just made a little bit of contact, but that clears a little bit of the pathway. But there is two specific groups here now. There's this leading bunch with Paul Smith at the back of the train. Then there's a second group on the way, led by Ross McFarlane.
And you know that second pack is not going to be wanting to stick around behind them for very long, as Elliot Roberts hangs on to 5th place while they drag race it out for 6th and 7th behind them. Paul Smith and Miguel Garcia, for 7th and 8th, trying to go at it amongst themselves. And I think Paul Smith will just find his way past Garcia, who's going to have to tuck in the line here unless he wants to find himself side by side down into the bus stop chicane. As well as this, you saw the move being made for the race lead. This is risky business. John Roberts to the inside. Polishek hanging it through the inside, the tight inside line, and just cuts across John Roberts. Michael Evdoka's got a great drive out behind them as well, making it a 3-car almost tandem draft down through NASCAR 3 and 4.
Oh, and look at Evdoka in the Audi going to try the high line. Oh, and he's joined there by, I think it was Ashley Beard, yes, as they all fan out 2-3 wide as they head towards the tri-oval for the second time as well. Touring car racing at its absolute best. We do see touring cars race here in the Michelin Pilot Challenge paddock, but not a whole field of them all at once as they pile down into turn one on top of each other. Virtually, problem for Elliot Roberts there, getting into the side of Miguel Garcia in the Hyundai Veloster, and that's bound to put some damage on both of those cars.
Still 2 abreast, 3 abreast. Oh my gosh, that was never going to work. Ashley Beard, late lunge, takes out Polishek. He's taking out both the full set racing cars. Fraser Smith collected, so is Polishek.
Christmas Day for Ross McFarlane in the 127 car there. He saw a clear inside lane and he took it. So that has brought the two leading groups together effectively, and McFarlane being the first at the front of the group, he was there to benefit, and the sea just parted for him there, Nolan.
Another couple of spots gained, and it's more work for sim racing to do. Here's the look. It was a huge late launch. It was that clip with the grass that really sealed the deal, and the second contact is what sent the Fraser Smith around. He's going to pull the second on the left. There is McFarlane just ducking over to the right to make up ground. That has allowed Paul Smith onto the podium and now ready to battle it out for second place, trying to close up to Ashley Beard and make the overtake. He's got Elliot Roberts and Miguel Garcia right behind. Beard gives it up, does not want to take any risks. Smith up to second.
Well, Paul Smith in the Team Mad Hyundai Veloster up to second overall on top of the AM class. But look at this, on the apron, the number 95 of Ashley Beard. That's a little bit cheeky. It's cheeky, and there's that. Wow, Ashley Beard. I can't imagine what's going on in the cockpit of Paul Smith's car right now. And while that's all going on, Miguel Garcia quickly recovering. He's up there on the high line saying, I'm going to go past both of you.
No yellow line rules here to worry about, so that is just what you like to see. These touring cars can do that. They can't do it very long, but you can make it work for a brief moment. Beard did exactly what he needed to do, and now trying to track out, counter-steering a little bit as Miguel Garcia tries to go outside line on board, but Paul Smith goes on the offensive, trying to push his way back up into third place. So close to call and almost into the pit wall. Miguel Garcia still holds the inside, and I think Smith has to yield. Almost gives the bumper to the number 83 Hyundai Veloster. But now Paul Smith down in the fourth, but still hanging on to a top 5. This is brilliant stuff up here.
Well, update on our championship contenders. Ross McFarlane up to 5th. Guina is up to 11th. So progress for both drivers, but certainly more so for McFarlane. McFarlane knows that it's do or die now. He has to get a huge chunk of points to overhaul that 20-point deficit to Cornton Guinness heading into the final race. And then who knows what reverse grid draw we'll get for race 3, of course. That's what's coming up after this one. But Michael Evdoka leads at the front, a 157.0 last time by. Ashley Beard in second, a 158.5. Mikael Garcia was a 158.0. So Evdoka, how often do we get a one-car breakaway at Daytona? That's impossible.
It's only possible if they go double file, beating and banging throughout the entirety of the infield section. Beard once again gives the spot up, does not want to risk too wide through the Le Mans chicane. So Mikael Garcia now back up into second place. Beard third, Paul Smith fourth, and then of course points runner-up at the moment, Ross McFarlane down in fifth. And if they were to finish like this, I do believe this would gift Ross McFarlane the points lead, but it would be very, very slim. So it is a very tight points battle as it says. There is Cornton Guinness alongside with Jamie Rushworth, one of McFarlane's teammates, trying to make it difficult, and he's going to bang doors with Carl Jansen, kind of disrupting their little bump draft down the pit straight.
Yeah, I don't think Guinness is done by any stretch of an imagination. He's going to make up more places. You can be sure of that, I think. Fantastic motor racing here at Daytona International Speedway. Evdoka leads by 1.5 seconds. Now, interestingly there, Garcia was 0.2 of a second quicker, as was Beard. And McFarlane, well, McFarlane was 155.6. He was 1.3 seconds quicker than the leader last time by.
This is starting to get really, really hectic. We're not even halfway through race 2, and already a look at all of the action that has befallen Daytona International Speedway as the sun has now set behind the horizon, allowing us to go racing in almost complete darkness and under the lights. Here at the World Center of Racing, you can still see Guinness fighting that car, trying to find some way and pass Fraser Smith. Elliot Roberts as well, trying to disrupt Carl Jansen to make things a little bit more difficult for the number 92 car. At the moment, McFarlane's just got to hope that those two core cars do not have the chance to link up with each other. Here's Ashley Beard trying to give a toe to Ross McFarlane, and in fact, it's going to be a block. McFarlane to the outside lane. Does Beard defend here? He does, to the inside at the Le Mans chicane. McFarlane can see it coming. He saw the 95 going to run wide, so now he's going to get the great overspeed out of the Le Mans chicane into NASCAR 3 and 4.
Yeah, McFarlane's got to be smart here, as well as Dadswell has picked up a bit of a souvenir here, but McFarlane going for the high line. He's got no draft here at all. He could get freight trained here if he's not careful. And Ashley Beard is, as he's well within his rights to do, holding it tight on the inside. But now McFarlane starts to get a bit more of a run on the high line, and he's going to have to be brave on the brakes. He's going to have to be really brave to try and get this point back. He goes up onto the high line, and Beard still holds on to it, and Paul Smith's got squirrely on the brakes. Oh, that was close. Well held there from the Yorkshireman, and very close indeed. I think McFarlane's just going to seal it up and no more, but that took a lot of effort there to dispatch with Ashley Beard. Now he's got work to do to try and catch Garcia.
That was a little too close for comfort. I thought Paul Smith was about to turn this into a game of bowling as they make door-to-door contact again between Polishek and Ashley Beard in the mad dash down towards the king. Beard forces Polishek out, and that's going to allow Ashley Beard to just hang on now to fourth place for the time being. And it's worth noting that, all the work here that McFarlane's having to do, that Guinness is going to have to do the exact same type of work to punch his ticket up. And it's not going to help things either, because Guinness still has got Pete Newman to contend with as well. In fact, you can now see Guinness just at the back there trying to close on in. In fact, it's the second car in line here behind this side-by-side battle between Paul Smith and Tom Dadswell.
Yeah, this is in a really important phase of the race. We've just gone past halfway, and Guinness now, this is a critical point. He's up to 9th place. He's made great progress from the back of the grid. But Pete Newman, well, that is not a friendly ahead. That is an enemy ahead. Pete Newman, of course, teammate to Ross McFarlane, his big championship rival. So will Newman play his part as well? We've seen him play his part, and we've seen it on both sides, Core Sim Racing and Pure Sims, trying to help their respective teammates. That's what this type of racing is all about, really. Really, if you've got to play it to your advantage. But further forward, we've got Michael Polishek and Ashley Beard absolutely side to side, and McFarlane just making a break now, trying to get onto the case of Mikel Garcia. He's within about 0.8 of a second. That's enough to pick up a bit of a draft now. And Garcia, he gets a move on Evdoka, but look at the paintwork on that Evdoka Audi. That is a Pure Sims car. So all of a sudden, McFarlane does have a little help from his friends.
It's not getting any easier out here, so you can see these drivers still dicing this one now. Double file, International Horseshoe. Guinness still working against P. Newman, and Newman doing everything he can. To quote Fernando Alonso, defending like a lion right now, trying to keep the 333 behind. This is certainly not going to be made any easier for Guinness, and it's a chop across the nose in the mad dash in towards the West Horseshoe. And there will be no quarter given by the number 58 Elantra. This is going to be a fight for the ages here as Corrin Guinness tries to find a way through.
Quite extraordinary stuff here as well in this season finale of the World Touring Car Series. This is so exciting. And, well, Guinness, you can tell he's just erring on the side of patience. Of course, remember, he came into this race exactly with a 20-point lead. So he knows that he's got that in hand. McFarlane is now up into second position. He's got Evdoka behind him, his teammate, and they're going to try and gang up on Mikel Garcia. Now, here comes Guinness. Is he going to try and make the move into the Le Mans chicane? Newman's not going to let him have it easy. No, he's not. And that's super clever from Guinness. He tucks in, he says, no, after you. And now Guinness can get on the power early. There he goes. Now he can get a big run on Newman, and this is going to be hard for Newman to be able to keep the Frenchman at bay.
That's not the only move. McFarlane to the race lead. This is where it starts to get up there. And Michael Evdoka going to go right through as well and bump drafting up to the back end of the 127. Mikel Garcia moved up in NASCAR 3 and 4 and made it easy. He does not want to stand in the way of a championship fight. So Ross McFarlane to the race lead. That is the last possible thing that Core Sim Racing wanted to see in this second race of the night.
Oh, drama here in the World Touring Car Series, and the 333 of Guinness just goes a little bit wide there. He's got a whole world of problems with, Newman throws a big block there going down into the International Horseshoe. Guinness has just got to keep it cool here. He's got the opportunities, 5 minutes and 46 seconds to go. He might not be able to win the race from here, but he's just going to try and pick off a couple of places. He's got to stay calm, but Newman is really testing the young Frenchman's resolve as they head side by side through into the West Horseshoe. Guinness is super late on the brakes. Is he too late on the brakes? Oh, near late. Newman, I think he's going to get this move done around the outside at the West Horseshoe. What a move there from Corrin Guinness. And dear me, he goes for a huge lunge there on Paul Smith. Paul said he wouldn't be jumping out the way, and he didn't. But, don't think he had much choice. There was a Core Sim Racing 333 Hyundai arriving at speed.
And look at this. Michael Evdoka's checking up the field. Ross McFarlane's broken away to 1.3 seconds. That is outside of the effective drafting distance that these cars can have. I think Michael Evdoka has just handed Ross McFarlane a potential win here on a silver platter. Talk about teamwork. This is absolutely phenomenal stuff. Pure Sims really is taking it to Core Sim Racing and saying, you guys think you can be teammates? Hold my beer. And tell you what, Michael Evdoka doing everything he needs. He's not going to be anywhere close to winning the race at this rate, but that is not at all what matters. He realizes there are bigger things at stake than an individual race win.
Well, Michael Checo Evdoka, he's playing the team role perfectly here. And of course, we saw it in race 1. Corrin Guinness getting great cover from his Core Sim Racing colleagues. Well, it has turned right around here in race 2, and this has been the story of the championship. Just 2 rounds ago, Corrin Guinness had it in one hand on the trophy, really had a big advantage. But it's really unraveled the last couple of rounds as well, where McFarlane has really come on strong and scored some really good points. Finishes is, Evdoka getting rubbed up a little bit there. So Polishek saying, yeah, we don't like that. I've got some teammates to help out here. We want a result, and giving a big rubbing it. Well, The only thing that has done, though, Nolan, is that has allowed Guinness to come through to 3rd position all of a sudden. Now, without the field being backed up, would that have been possible? I'm not sure.
Look at the entire field just accordioning into the West Horse. You even heard some of the metal scraping there.
Yeah.
This is just absolutely phenomenal. The gloves have certainly come off in a huge way. Oh, there's a big collision. One of the Full Send Velocitors is around. Miguel Garcia's around. There goes the other Full Send driver off as well. That is a huge smash. And there's one more car. Smith into the outside wall, spinning in front of the field. And I think the Core Sim Racing drivers just managed to get around the fact they have Mangan, Jensen, Harrison all still clear. So is Cornton Guinness, still being held up now by Michael Evdoka. 3-1, almost! It's a huge lead block there from Evdoka to slam the door shut. Guinness almost wanted to take out the 989 through the Le Mans chicane.
This might be an important point in time to mention that the drivers are only allowed 17 incident points per race. Now, how are those handed out? 1 point for breaking track limits. That's easy to pick those up at the bus stop chicane. However, a significant contact with another driver, whether that be someone bumping you from behind or you running into the back of somebody or whatever, that's 4 incident points. That would be 4.
Oh,
wow.
no,
Down low. This could be a big one. There's a big one. Oh, this is getting ugly now. This is getting so ugly. There's bound to be one of these drivers about to get 4 incident points, and this is bordering on unsporting.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's not on, I'm afraid.
Oh, and Evdoka slams the door shut on Oscar Mangan, and he's in a sandwich area. This is going to get ugly. The 92 car's off the road. They do not care at all. Jensen is going to bully Evdoka off the circuit here. There's a second hit from Oscar Mangan. Talk about a quadruple threat here from Michael Evdoka. That got all sorts of out of hand, and I imagine that is not going to go down well in the stewards room for any of those drivers in that whole mess. Michael Evdoka outside lane, but now he's the one that's being cut out of line.
Well, and now... Oh! Yeah, this is getting really ugly now. This is not nice at all. Well, and of course for Cornton Guinness, it's not finished either, because he has Pete Newman, another Pure Sims driver, right behind him as well. But at the moment, McFarlane leads by 3.8 seconds, and we're going to take the white flag to signal the last lap. We're right on board with Newman, and that is championship contender Cornton Guinness right ahead now as they come down towards the Le Mans chicane. And if you're Guinness, you've got to be getting close to that incident limit. A number of these drivers have got to be getting close to that incident limit. So, and to be fair to Newman, at this stage, he could just easily just drill into the back and that add incident points to Guinness, but he's decided not to do that. That's the way to do it. Race fair, race hard. And Newman now going to the outside, trying to get the move. And could Guinness get boxed in here?
Pete Newman to the outside lane. Guinness wants to force the issue. Let's move for Altitude Sims or Esports to get around Full Send Racing. Polishek gonna be boxing Cornton Guinness in, and even going on to the apron, not letting Guinness through, who is flatlined furiously. Does 3 wide for second place on the final lap down to the turn number 1. Who's gonna make contact? Do they all come out on top? Pete Newman gets muscled out. Cornton Guinness goes through to 4th.
Yeah, and that's critical there for Cornton Guinness. Oh, a huge block there from the... Wow, from the Full Send Racing car of Michael Polishek as well. So this is getting so fierce. Meanwhile, Ross McFarlane, he's already halfway to Miami. He's 4.5 seconds up the road. Tom Dadswell, he leads the chasing pack in second. Then it's the black and green Full Send Hyundai of Polishek. Then it's Guinness, who now has a little bit of coverage. And here comes Evdoka. Evdoka, where did he come from? He's come back again. And I don't like where this is going. So now Guinness has got a little bit. He's got his... This is like one of those, VIPs with
no! That's given Oscar Mangan the incident point penalty right there.
I don't think we need to add many more words to that footage. So, final lap. Ross McFarlane leads by 5.4 seconds from Tom Dadswell. That's your car at the front of shot there as well. Polishek right behind him. Now, Guinness, this is critical for Guinness. Guinness is in 4th place. He desperately needs these points as well. Polishek throwing a big block. So, well, Polishek wanting to hang on to that position as late as possible. Dadswell just comes back to the apex. Guinness is incredibly frustrated back in the pack. His tempers are flying, they're flaring here as well. Guinness way up high, trying to create something. And straight away, Polishek throws the block. McFarlane, he'll already be at the checkered flag already. But how is this going to play out? Is where it is. Guinness going to be able to progress on 4th position. He's got a decent run here as well. But is he going to be able to make the space through? He goes down onto the bottom line. You can do that, of course, as we mentioned. But Polishek, is he going to be able to nick 2nd position? Do you know? I don't know. It's a photo finish.
Didn't get there. Only good enough for 3rd.
Well, I think, Ross McFarlane, your race winner then. Michael Polishek in 2nd. And I think all I'm going to say, Nolan, here is I think you've got to take a pretty big hat off to Corentin Guinness for staying relatively cool under those situations, because it was clear what the tactics were there from the opposition team. And to even get that car to the flag is achievement in itself in those circumstances.
I know Oscar Mangan is showing 14th right now, but once the last car has crossed the line, that is going to change, because he did cross that threshold, or I should say he had it crossed for him. So he is absolutely going to be getting, I would imagine, a 30-second time penalty added onto his time at the end of this race, which would bump him all the way down to 20th place. That is not at all pleasant, and I have a feeling there are going to be some very strong words being given, team games being played among all sides. But I think the only thing I really have to say is there's a difference between, playing a team game and just, let's be honest, just kind of being all out of order.
Yeah, I think that's fair assessment, Nolan. Very well put. So let's see what the reverse grid draw is going to be for race 3, and see where they line up. And this will, of course, dictate where Ross McFarlane starts from, where Corentin Guinness starts from. The gap was 20 points coming into that race 2, and the gap now just 13 points. And the race reverse grid is going to be 22. So the top 22 cars will be reversed, and that means then that, we'll confirm in a moment who will be on reverse grid pole. Ross McFarlane then takes the win then to head into the final race of the championship with an opportunity to take the title from Corentin Guinness at the last moment. Michael Polishek was your AM class winner after all that, and finished in 2nd with 3rd place Corentin Guinness, incurring a huge amount of fighting and keeping the car on the track and getting a podium. Very impressive indeed. Tom Dadswell was 4th, followed by Pete Newman, Wojciech Savidovic, Mikel Garcia, Kieran Harrison, Carl Janssen and Jamie Rushworth. Then in 11th place was John Roberts, followed by Elliot Roberts, Jake Blackcall, Neil Butler and Fraser Smith rounds out the top 15. Then it was Michael Evdoka who was classified 16th, with Ella Stevens in 17th, Sean Gardner in 18th, Ashley Beard in 19th and Oscar Mangan being bumped back to 20th with a post-race penalty. Then it was Paul Smith, Mark Fletcher, Ben Gregory, Andy Shield, Jack Cedric, Craig Williams and Dan Murray.
I have to be honest, I'm a bit lost for words when we take all of that into account. I mean, that was a whole heap of events that just culminated into one action-packed last couple of laps. Yes, but it's not the type of action that we really hope to see, right? I mean, everybody loves to see exciting races. We love door-to-door, we love wheel-to-wheel, but we also like it to be fair. And I think that is the very key word here, is the fair. It got messy, and I'm not saying either side's right or wrong, because let's be honest, it was both sides. It takes two to have a fight like that.
It does. It does. I agree with you. I agree with everything you say, Nolan, there. And I would also say that it's also... it almost is a little bit sort of punch or be punched in some cases, where Guinness had to stand his ground. It was very clear what was happening. I mean, Guinness is no fool. He would have seen, he'd go, okay, this is a pure Sims car. This is my championship rival. Just like Ross McFarlane would know, this is a Core Sim racing car. I've got to be careful here. Yeah, I mean... I wouldn't want to be in the stewards room after that, because that was team tactics being taken to the limit and arguably beyond. And it's a strange one as well, because we see that one of the reasons why Ross McFarlane is in this championship fight, according to Guinness, has won 8 races. That was just McFarlane's 3rd of the season. The reason why he's in the championship is because he keeps the car tidy and keeps it clean and keeps it out of trouble. That was, in an odd way, Nolan, that's not how Ross himself would have gone about that situation.
I mean, to be fair, he didn't have to. He was more than clear. Michael Avdaga did all the work for him. And I think the problem really started when Avdaga started to back the field up. That in itself, honestly, not the biggest of deals. That is just team tactics and touring car racing at its finest. Back the field up. It was when Poor Sim Racing then tried to get around when it got out of hand, because that's when the waving started. That's when all of the door-to-door contact started, and it just spilled from one incident onto the next, to the next, to the next, and then it just got well and proper out of order. So you could see McFarlane trying to work his way up through the grid. There was Smith's huge slide. I'm going to be honest, I saw that car going around. I was ready to watch about 5 cars be wiped out in those couple seconds.
Yeah, it's looking back at some of this footage, you kind of think, did that happen? Quite incredible, quite incredible stuff. As you can see there, Pete Newman, he was in the fight there for Pure Sims as well, and Corentin Guiners had to really kind of, hold his tongue a little bit there and just try and stay alive, because he kind of had such. He obviously has really good pace under the car. He's had that all season, but being able to deploy that in such a packed race is so difficult as well. And it wasn't just the team rivalry between Pure Sims and Core there. There was a lot of other drivers there, of course, running their own race with their own agenda, Nolan, who were trying to make their way to the front and trying to get their result, and that was also playing a factor.
This is when it all got out of control, and you can see everybody weaving left and right, front and center, trying to just scramble around at the same time. 3 wide into turn 1. Rarely works, but somehow managed to work there. This was in the dial-lapse, and that is when I think everybody can agree, okay, I think we've kind of crossed the line at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we'll have coverage coming up of race 3, and we've got Paul Smith has come into. He was right there in the middle of that fight, so let's get a look from a driver's perspective what it was like to be in the middle of that melee, and Paul will give us his view. I am sure. Let's see if we can get him in. Paul, I mean, I don't know how much you saw from the driver's seat there. You were in the heat of the battle, but give us a kind of review of your race there.
I mean, that was just chaos. That's one word for it. That was, my goodness. I think we all need to just take a little bit of a sensible pill before the final race, because at the end of the day, we've all got to finish this as best as we can. I'll completely be honest and say that the initial contact on lap 9 into the hairpin between me and Michael Garcia was totally on me. Got that, just it was never on was a move, and I've apologised to him already, but that was on me. And then that just put me in a situation where I had nowhere to go at that point, and in all fairness to the 2 core cars, and I think it was Tom Dadswell, or no, not Dadswell, it was Ashler Beard, they had nowhere to go either. So my mistake has ended up with me ended up at the back of the field. The positive of that is the reverse grid has put me at the front of the field.
You got to make the most of it now, Paul. You're going to be on the front row.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I don't think I've started on the front row of the grid in this season. So finally, Hugo's magic touch has worked. I think Arjuna had done a better job.
Arjuna's programmed it for tonight. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But this last race, it's just try and get as good a result as possible for me to finish my season off on a high. And if the other drivers that are fighting for the championship, and Corentin and Ross are coming through, all the best to them. I showed in that second race that I'll race you, but I'm not going to put their championship at stake just for one position.
I think that's very fair. Yeah, I think that's very fair. I mean, Paul, I'm going to be you're going to hate me for this. I mean, we've seen Ross and Quarantine battling it out all season and going about it in their own different way. As we talk about in the World GT Championship, of course, Ross is fighting for the championship there and goes about it in a very similar way. Greenez has had a lot of pace. Ross has been consistent. I mean, we're going into the last round and with just a handful of points between them. I mean, your thoughts on that battle right at the front and who you think is going to come out on top?
I think that Corrington, with that core team around him, and it's not just a core of core. It is a core of core cars that are just, they always seem to be all together. And they're going to be helping their teammate out in the same way that the Pure Sims drivers have been helping Ross out as well. It's all of us lot that are independent of those two teams that are having the fun out there. But I just hope that it's a clean race and it's a fair result in the end, and the best driver does end up taking the championship, because we don't want to see this decided in the stewards' room. At least I don't want to, because I'm one of the stewards.
No, we definitely don't. That I think it's we don't want you to be the Yorkshire Michael Massey.
Oh no, I'm not race director. I'm just merely a steward. I give my opinion, and that's
it. We're going car racing. Right, Paul. Well, from that front row of the grid, we want to see a good result from you here. Good luck and go get them.
Yeah, I need all the luck I can get. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. So there you go. It's like you said, Paul. Give Paul the week off, Nolan. No funny business in race 3.
Oh boy, what a night it has been so far. And I mean, it's not even over, right? There's still so much left to go, so much left to cover. A lot can happen in 20 minutes, and I think now more than ever, Ross McFarlane needs to have one of the best possible results he can get.
It's an interesting development here as well. We've got about 4 minutes and 24 seconds to go. Here are your points. First of all, let's cover this. Corrington Guinez now leads by just 13 points. Could have been a lot worse if he hadn't fought through to third place in the circumstances. Quite impressive. That means now that Kieran Harrison is mathematically out of the championship fight, but will likely finish third, and Savidovic and Janssen will battle over fourth position as well. But just want to read out a quote for those who don't have the benefit of the chat on our RaceSpotTV broadcast as well. Michael Avdoga has said, and I quote, "I deeply apologise for my driving. I made a massive mistake. I will not run in the last race, as I deserve to be banned. I'm sorry." I think Nolan, that's incredibly admirable from Michael to hold his hands up in that situation.
Yeah, I can always respect a driver that says, "Yep, okay, that was on me. That's my bad. I should have happened. Won't happen again." That though is, I think, understandably going to be slightly, shall we say, concerning to Ross McFarlane, because that's just one more driver now that won't be having his back in that final race.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, it certainly had an important part to play in that last race. Let's have a look at the AM standings, because we can now provisionally announce Jake Blackwell has done enough to clinch the inaugural AM Championship in the World Touring Car Series here on RaceSpotTV. Congratulations to Jake Blackwell and the Pure Sims SimLab outfit. That also confirms Ben Gregory in second position, but third position, my goodness me, all level up between Neil Butler and Tom Dadswell. That sets up a no-holds-barred race to the finish. And of course, for fifth place, look at that, Michael Polachek and Paul Smith, they're battling for the top 5. Paul Smith starting from the front row of the grid, Nolan, a top 5 in the AM Championship after what was a really tough start to the season. I'm sure Paul will be quite chuffed with that.
Oh, absolutely. So that is going to be excellent there for all of those drivers. And Paul Smith, obviously, having a solid run in this final race as well. I mean, you saw him fighting for the podium throughout, I would say, the first half of race 2 there. That was phenomenal stuff. So hopefully we'll be seeing Paul Smith having an even better drive now that he's going to be starting right up at the front in race number 3.
He certainly is, and we'll have all the action for you here on RaceSpotTV. The final race of the World Touring Car Series, race 34, after what has been a stunning season all the way through the winter with, we've seen appearances from many real-world touring car drivers. Of course, we had Tyler Maxson joining us for most rounds of the championship, of course, who drives in the Michelin Pilot Challenge for the Hyundai factory setup. Also Ash Sutton, triple British touring car champion. Dan Camish, the double Porsche Carrera Cup champion and British touring car driver. Bobby Thompson, British touring car driver, and also Dan Rowbottom as well. It's great to have them along. But as is often the case, Nolan, it's the sim specialists who always come out on top. It just shows you that this, sim racing is a discipline. It's a specific discipline in motorsport, and like any discipline, you have to specialize in it to compete at the very, very top.
You absolutely do. So this is, I think, going to be proving that some of those drivers that have had that experience are definitely formidable opponents. And who knows, maybe we could have drivers like Tyler Maxson turning up on a more regular basis. We could be seeing one of them battle it out for the top spots on the podium as well. But instead, we've got this titanic of a battle between McFarlane and Guinness, which is all about to come to a head with 13 points separating them. If I've done my math correctly on this one, that would mean that if McFarlane wins, and at the moment that could be a relatively big if, he would need Guinness to finish 6th place or lower if he were to clinch that title.
Well, let's see how it shakes out then. Practice is over for the final race of the season, and we're going to have the grid for you in just a moment and see how they start this 34th and final race of the inaugural World Touring Car Series here on the iRacing Simulator and broadcast on RaceSpotTV. Peter Mackay and Nolan Rempel here taking you through all the action for one last time this season. Who will come out on top and who will be crowned champion? Your front row then is Mark Fletcher and Paul Smith, with Oscar Mangan and Ashley Beard on row 2. Then it's Sean Gardner and Ellis Stevens. Row 4 is our all full send racing lineup with Fraser Smith and Neil Butler. Then it's Jake Blackhall, our AM champion, and Elliot Roberts. John Roberts and Jamie Rushworth, they make up row 6, with row 7, Carl Janssen and Kieran Harrison. Row 8 is Mikael Garcia and Wojciech Savinovic, with Pete Newman and Tom Dadswell on row 9. Then row 10 is championship leader Corentin Guinness and Michael Polishek. Starting 21st will be Ross McFarlane, followed by Ben Gregory, Andy Shield and Jack Sedgwick. And then finally, Craig Williams. And as promised, no Michael Evdoka. Well, who's your money on then, folks? Let us know in the RaceSpot chat. Grab a cold beverage, kick your feet up. This, Nolan, is going to be a thriller.
I honestly have to wonder if there's even the possibility for us to even make any predictions at this point in time, with how much is going to happen, no doubt, in this race. There really is just no proper way to be able to calculate exactly what's going to happen. So this is going to be one of those things where we're not going to be able to make any predictions on who might win this until halfway through that last lap.
Oh, I wouldn't even want to risk it then. I want to pick a comment out of our RaceSpotTV chat. Karen Broughton, who's supported us all season long, she says, I'm going to miss this so much. So will we, Karen, so will we. But I'm sure we will be back in the future. So, the grid is formed for the final time. We're going to have a rolling start here. Race 34, the final race of the season. Is it going to be Corentin Guinness? Is it going to be Ross McFarlane? We will know in just over 20 minutes' time. Porsche 911 pace car will pull away, and Mark Fletcher will have control of the field in his 111 Audi with the 33 of Paul Smith and the Hyundai Veloster for Team Mad on the outside of row 1. The pace car pulls away. We're about to go green flag. We're racing for the final time in the World Touring Car Series.
It's a big jump for some of the cars deeper in the field. I know Janssen had to jump onto the apron there. 3, 4 super wide down to the turn number 1, but it looks like this time everybody will avoid the pit wall, so no big turn 1 pile up this time around.
Great getaway there from the 111, and Mark Fletcher makes a super start, but he's got trouble behind him. Oscar Mangan in second position has made a great launch from the second row as Paul Smith battles it out with Fraser Smith, who's had actually quietly progressed his way up the field throughout the evening. He had to serve a qualifying ban after a penalty from a previous race, but he's done a great job as Fraser Smith in that Audi, so don't look out for that number 167 car.
Around through these corners, and looks like you can see some of the headlights spinning around, but we are still going to be keeping it steady up at the front of this field. Fletcher from Mangan, from Smith from Beer. There was a smash back in the field. Thought I heard a collision, so there is not good news. And Watry Switovich caught up in that one, it would seem, and might have been one of the CSS cars as well.
Craig Williams, yes, Craig Williams in the wall as well there, but onto the super speedway they go then. Mark Fletcher with Oscar Mangan right in his wheel tracks as they head to the Le Mans chicane for the first time as well. Fletcher takes his line then. Look back a little bit there. Paul Smith and the Team Mad Veloster in third with Fraser Smith right on his case as well. Then in fifth it's Ashley Beard who's having a good night at the office as well, fighting near the front of the pack. But Oscar Mangan, you have to think he's the car with the pace at the front of the field. Right, let's see. Oh, Williams loses it early and he's trying to hold on to it and then T-bones. Now who's that he's collected?
That's Guinness, I think.
Oh! Now, so if that's Craig Williams, if that's contact with Guinness, then that will be damage at the front of the car, and that will ruin the straight line speed of Guinness' 333 car.
And at the rear,
oh my word!
Run from behind too.
Oh, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. So Craig Williams makes a pure, honest mistake. He's trying to get the car slowed down. He's throwing the handbrake at it, everything, and Guinness is just wrong place, wrong time. And do you know, I wonder if he's been going to be shown the meatball flag for mechanical damage and be forced to pit lane, or whether he can keep going. So Guinness, well, this all then depends where Ross McFarlane comes out in all this, because McFarlane is 13 points back. He needs Guinness to be a fair bit behind. So let's see. Oh, Nolan, drama.
Drama indeed, so we can see now the top grouping starting to run away. Oscar Mangan out in front, and this is going to be very, very crucial. I'm just looking at a couple of things to see. We can't figure out, but I would be very surprised if Guinness doesn't have some kind of really major damage that would force him to pit. So we'll have to wait and see. He's at the back of the field. Hopefully he can work his way back up. Flashing headlights furiously, and I imagine he is fuming right now. The damage doesn't look that major, but the problem is where he was hit, right? It was right at the wheel well on the right front. That is what the huge concern is going to be. Might very well have knocked something loose. Side by side, bus stop chicane. Paul Smith not able to hang on against Fraser Smith.
Oh, I can't. According to Guinness will be furious. And poor old Craig Williams, he will be absolutely mortified at the moment, because it was an honest mistake. It's so easy to do, just to touch a wheel on the grass coming through the kink, and he was just a projectile then. And of all the cars in this 27 car field to hit, it was championship leader Corentin Guinness. That just unfortunate all round. But McFarlane still has to get through this, and he has to score enough points to get by Guinness in the championship. So it is not done yet, as we've seen. Tonight has had a lot of twists and turns already, but Mark Fletcher, after 5 minutes of this race, as Savidovic comes out the pits, he's still holding on well, and Mangan just sitting in there. Fletcher leading very strong.
Mark Fletcher trying to hang on. Oscar Mangan looking to go for the over-under. No speed though. Mark Fletcher doing a great job on covering him off in his Altitude Esports number 111 machine. And hello, look at the ticker, bottom left. Guinness is in the pits.
Oh my word. So Corentin Guinness is coming to pit lane, and he has taken his quick repair. So that Hyundai Elantra is now back up to full health. It's a spare car effectively. So now, if you can explain, Nolan, he'd been shown the meatball flag. What does that mean?
That means you must come down into pit road and get your damage repaired. If you do not, iRacing will disqualify you. So that is a mandatory flag that must be served. There's no optional about it.
Well, let's see then as well, because if so, Guinness at the moment He is in 23rd position and 15 seconds back from Sean Gardner in 22nd. If and we're going to use if a lot in these next 14 minutes or so, as Fletcher and Smith now side by side for the lead. So Fraser Smith is definitely having a look. So if Corentin Guinez was to get no further than 23rd, then that would mean that McFarlane would need to finish 15th or better. It's in fact, excuse me, 16th or better. So at the moment, McFarlane, where is he? He's in 17th, so he's not scoring enough points yet. So McFarlane has to make moves forward. This championship is not over.
Oh boy, Justin, you think it couldn't get any more dramatic. Look at this. Now you've got two wide tandem drafting in towards turn number 1, and two of them are Corson Racing teammates. Oh, that's pushed wide! And Mangan gets dumped by Full Send Racing's Fraser Smith. He saves it. Now Smith gets tagged. One car's hard to the wall into turn 2. Cars scattering everywhere in the S's as they approach turns 2 and 3.
Well, that's good news for Corentin Guinez fans, because that clears spaces and that vaults the Frenchman up the order. Of course, it does put McFarlane up the order as well, but how do those points shake out? Well, we'll keep going with the calculator. There's smoke coming out of it already. Goodness me, 13 minutes and a little bit of change to go in this World Touring Car Series season. What a finale here on RaceSpotTV. As commentators, we're known for using superlatives unnecessarily, but Nolan, this really is a heart stopper. Wow.
To the inside, Kieran Harrison trying to recover and at least pull a good result together for himself. Trying to get up to Jack Sedgwick. They're going to hip check as they hit NASCAR turn 1 out of turn number 6 for the 4th time in this final race tonight. Ross McFarlane, I believe, is now up to 13th place. And Corentin Guinez still down all the way down the order and stuck effectively. So Guinez has got a lot of work. He's still in 22nd place. I think that would be enough to clinch it for McFarlane now.
It would be enough to clinch by 5 points, but we're not done yet. We are far from done, and Guinez has now got a fast car underneath him, and he's going to be. And the thing is, the Corson Racing group, pancake in the wall there. Ouch. But a number of cars now taking damage in that melee. So if they have to come to repair, then Guinez will come forward. But for Corson Racing, all that his teammates can do now for Corentin Guinez is slow the pace down. Throw big dive bomb moves, go for moves, back the pace up as much as possible. It's a big rear slide moment there for Paul Smith, but he's on top of it yet again.
This is starting to get really, really hectic here. Paul Smith trying to hang on to 3rd. He knows that these guys like Carl Jansen and Fraser Smith are not the drivers that are out here actively fighting for a championship. Carl Jansen still in 2nd place, trying to see if he can maybe pull together one last race win on the season. We're single file through the kink at turn 4, so at least these drivers are being sensible into the turn 4 kink there. So honestly, I have to say, I don't think we're going to be seeing a whole lot in the way of a side-by-side battle between McFarlane and Guinez for those last points paid positions.
No, but it's going to be effectively who can gain the most positions here as well, because Guinez is a couple of seconds a lap quicker than the cars in front of him, so he can catch those in front of him, especially if this battling keeps going on. So let's see. Mark Fletcher, he's still holding the advantage in the 111 Audi for Altitude Esports. He's got Carl Jansen now, the Super Swede, right up behind him. Jansen wanting to try and get his 6th win of the season, which would be 3 more than Ross McFarlane and only 2 less than Guinez. So it's quite incredible circumstances here in this championship, and that's what touring car racing, that's what reverse grid does, and throws up some fantastic entertainment. But the thing is, this is very much last day of school syndrome as well, Nolan, because all of these drivers at the front, Fletcher, Jansen, Smith, and both Paul and Fraser Smith, they want to get this finish on a win. Imagine that, close out on a win and head into next season with
that's the wall.
For Mangan.
Just nicked it, and that's it. Carl Jansen's out.
Jansen's had enough. He's pulled out of this race then. So Paul Smith to the front for Team Mad in his Hyundai Veloster. Fletcher drops back then, and then Jake Blackall's in there as well. Oscar Mangan is in there too, as is Fraser Smith. Mikael Garcia, John Roberts, and all this battling is just bunching the field up ever more. Guinness, he's now in 22nd position, but will move up to 21st. And he doesn't have long until he's on to the rear of John Roberts, who he's lapping a lot quicker than.
Mangan still side by side, dives to the inside of Fraser Smith. He's right on board, and that will put the number 99 car now up into P4. So you still got spots flip-flopping back and forth constantly. Mikael Garcia ultimately put under fire by Kieran Harrison. But Garcia is not going to go down without a fight. Immediately muscled Harrison out, and now that's going to let Garcia go on the attack against Elliot Roberts in his Craig Sedum shop Honda Civic. Garcia to the outside lane. Harrison thought about going up the middle. No room, though. Garcia has to hold the inside, but Roberts so good on the outside on the brakes. He's able to just rock it right back around Garcia.
Brilliant stuff there at the front as they come out of Le Mans chicane. Side by side now between Fletcher and Paul Smith. Paul Smith's going to hug the low line in his Hyundai Veloster, but Fletcher's got a great run. And here comes Blackhall. Blackhall gets a big old boogie in the Hyundai Elantra then up onto the high side, and Blackwell's going to take two of them at once, I think. He's getting a bump along. Oh, Pearson's car getting a bump along by a Corsim racing car. Oh, they're best of friends again. Into turn one they go. Oh, the car's swirling all over the place, and I think Fletcher's going to reclaim the lead here, as well as Blackhall goes a wee bit wide, and he takes. Can he get the power down though and get the move done into International Horseshoe? No, Fletcher reclaims the lead, and Blackhall, the AM champion elect, gets the move done for second. Paul Smith drops back to third. There's Mangan. He's picked up fourth place.
Smith, though, trying to go for second place. No room, though, to go for the inside of Jake Blackhall. Look at Oscar Mangan now, taking it to the inside lane at the West Horseshoe. That Team Mad Veloster doing a phenomenal job on just trying to hang on. Oscar Mangan I think has gotten clear, but Paul Smith can immediately throw it back to the inside, not wanting to give that core sim racing driver any kind of slack. Elliot Roberts tracks out on the right. He'll tuck in line for fifth. And don't look now, but right in the back of this train, Ross McFarlane is in the top 10.
Yeah, Ross McFarlane doing everything he needs to do. He, at the moment, he would gain 22 points on Corentin Guinness. It was 13 coming into this, so that would be enough to claim the championship by just 9 points. Remember, you get 85 points for a race victory. We've had 34 races. Absolutely incredible. So McFarlane, he's just got to try and keep his nose clean here as well. It's going to be a big ask for Guinness, but as we've seen tonight so many times, there's all kinds of twists in the tail. And McFarlane just trying to keep almost a little force field around his car, almost like Mario Kart when you've got those the blue shells going, green shells going around you to give yourself a bit of coverage. Here, this has almost been like Mario Kart tonight. It's been so bumping and banging and barging. There's a little blink out there for Jake Blackhall with a little blip in internet connection. We don't want that to make a factor here at the front of the field. 6 minutes to go then, and I think we're going to go just into 4 laps to go, Nolan.
I think that math might just check out. Oscar Mangan, late launch, trying to go for the lead. Mark Fletcher, though, hanging on with first place. That 99 car just cannot catch a break out there, trying to just find a way through. And obviously, Ross McFarlane still in this battle, trying to pick whatever spots he can, because he knows that while his chances have been significantly improved, he is not out of the woods just yet, and he needs to make sure he's got as much of a buffer between him and Corentin Guinness, who is now up to 20th place as physically possible. This is 3 wide, turn 1, looking at Michael Polishek, and hello, getting into it. Oh, that's a huge smash into the pit wall.
Ouch, that is a big hit. That was Pete Newman there, the number 58, getting into a little bit of side-to-side action there, and Polishek coming off much worse. So at the front then, Mark Fletcher in the 111, he's held this lead for so long. We've got about 5 minutes left on the clock. It's going to be 3 to go, I think, when we come to the line. So 3 laps left in this season. And does Guinness have anything left? He's going as fast as he possibly can. He's lapping much thick. In fact, he's the fastest car in the field right now, lapping in the 156.1 range. Nobody's even close to that. So Quentin Guinness is driving his heart out, everything he possibly can to try and make up some positions. But at the moment, it's Ross McFarlane who holds the position. He's up into 7th, and that would be enough to claim this championship at the very last race.
Wouldn't that be something? Wow. You have this great fight, and it comes down to a crash at the opening laps of the final race of the season. Two drivers side by side into turn number 1. Mark Fletcher chops across Sedgwick as they exit turn number 1. Sedgwick had the lead of the line, but Fletcher steals it right back. Oscar Mangan still wanting the inside as well, and wanting to go back for second place. There's Paul Smith and Jake Blackall now going alongside each other through the International Horseshoe.
I feel we've not mentioned Cedric Muntz. He's just been hiding away in the black background. It's quite difficult to hide in a bright blue and yellow car, but there we go. But Cedric has just been stealthing his way up to the front here as well, and he's now a factor in this race. And look who's now in the leading pack. Championship contender, number 127, Ross McFarlane. He's in this leading group now. Hate to say it, Nolan, what do we get at super speedways? We often see the big one. That has got to be, surely that's going through Ross McFarlane's mind right now. Surely he's waiting. If there's any kind of incident in front of him, he's got to be ready to react.
The way it sits right now, McFarlane would clinch this championship by 13 points. That is if he remains in 7th, and that would be if Guinness finishes down in 20th place. So at the moment, all McFarlane realistically needs to do is just keep that car clean. And he's got this one in the bag. He's got a pretty significant buffer that, quite frankly, if he stays where he's at, Guinness does not have nearly enough time to make up.
No, he doesn't. It's definitely playing towards Ross McFarlane. You have to really feel for Quentin Guinness. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. An honest mistake from Craig Williams coming out of the kink, putting a wheel on the grass, and was then just basically a Honda-shaped bowling ball. And unfortunately, it was Guinness who was the pin in that scenario. So really, really unlucky, and it is given an opportunity for Ross McFarlane to take the championship, but it's not done. This is the penultimate lap now. As Fletcher gives a big old barge there to Mangan, and Kieran Harrison, he's now on the case as well. So the Corson Racing drivers coming to the fore. They're doing all they can. But there's Ross McFarlane in 6th position. He's just trying to keep himself clean, stay away from any trouble. Now up into 5th position, so climbing more and more points. And McFarlane's actually climbing positions quicker than Guinness is.
Side by side, West Horseshoe. Can Fletcher hang on to the lead from the inside? Don't think he can. Jack Sedgwick has the outside lane, wanting to take just one final win for Craig Settershop in the last race of the season, but he's got Kieran Harrison right behind him. They all three make a bit of contact down at the turn number 6. So out now onto turn 7 at NASCAR. Turn 1, Sedgwick's got the lead, but he's going to be a sitting duck in the run to the Le Mans chicane.
Remember, that Honda doesn't really have the best straight line speed as well. The Hyundai Elantra and even the Audi seem to have a little bit more of an advantage there as well. And is Cedric going to get swallowed up here before the chicane? Fletcher's got a good run. Yes, he has. So Fletcher's got it already before they even hit the braking zone. So Mark Fletcher in that 111 Audi driving his socks off in that machine. And on to the super speedway for the penultimate time. It will be white flag in the air, the final lap of the World Touring Car Series inaugural season. And what a season it has been, coming down to this final race, a showdown between Ross McFarlane and Quentin Guinness. 1 lap to go between Ross McFarlane and pinching this championship at the last possible moment.
2 wide as they take the final lap. 3 wide now for the race lead. Harrison to the bottom. Contact. Mangan gets taken out. Fletcher's wrecked, and so is Oscar Mangan, who's swinging out wide into turn 1. It's falling apart for the 99 car, and that is just one more spot now that Ross McFarlane has had to make up without a fuss.
Well, Ross McFarlane, you could tell there, was almost straight on the brakes when he saw that incident start to happen. He was ready for it and reacted accordingly. He could not afford to get caught up in a big wreck, and that was close, and McFarlane knew what he had to do there as well. So up into 4th position, that would score 75 points. Guinness still down in 18th. That would only be 45 points. So a 30-point swing at the final race in the favour of McFarlane. Quite incredible, but we're not at the checkered flag yet. As we come around onto the superspeedway for the final time, then it's Kieran Harrison who leads the pack at the moment, with Cedric right behind.
NASCAR 1 and 2 for the final time. There's some more contact. That was Jay Blackwell and Fraser Smith. Paul Smith also right behind this mix. Once again, almost making contact. The Veloster straddles the yellow line as he's going to give the assistance there to Jay Blackwell. Lamont Chicane for the final time. 3 wide down the back straightaway. This isn't going to work. It just doesn't work. No room. And sure enough, Fraser Smith takes it outside lane, and he'll get that one into the Lamont Chicane for the final time.
But has he gone too early though, Fraser Smith? Has he given the opportunity to Blackwell and possibly Paul Smith as well? But at the front of the field, has Kieran Harrison done enough to get a final win of the season here and to solidify his 3rd place in the championship? I don't know. Here comes Jack Cedric in the Craig Setup Shop Honda. Harrison goes to the low line. He weaves. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Is it going to be Cedric? Is it going to be Harrison? It's going to be Cedric who wins it in the Honda. Wow, with McFarlane in 3rd, and that provisionally crowns Ross McFarlane as your provisional World Touring Car Series champion. At the final round, at the last possible race, Ross McFarlane comes from behind to steal the championship at the last moment. What amazing motorsport.
I don't think you could have packed any more drama into a race like this, especially for a season finale. Talk about an underdog win for Ross McFarlane. I mean, we knew he was going to be a threat, but with the points deficit he had to make up, we didn't think he'd be able to get there, especially with Wynn start in front of him for this final race. What a way to top it all off, though.
And we must spare a thought for poor old Corentin Guinness. I mean, taken out by an incident not of his own making, really wrong place, wrong time, and that gave him damage which forced him to the pit lane for repairs. Really hearts go out to Corentin Guinness. He's won more races than any driver this season, but just comes up short at the last round. So by 36 thousandths of a second, Jack Cedric in the Craig Setup Shop Honda is your winner of this final race of the season from Kieran Harrison and your provisional champion, Ross McFarlane. Mark Fletcher, he finished in 4th, a valiant fight there from the Audi man, with Fraser Smith coming home in 5th. And fittingly, our provisional AM Class champion, Jake Blackwell, gets the AM Class win in the final race of the season. Tom Dadswell finished in 7th, with Mikel Garcia in 8th, Paul Smith in 9th, and Elliot Roberts finishes 10th. Jamie Rushworth was 11th, followed by Ben Gregory, Andy Shield, Ashley Beard and John Roberts. And Corentin Guinness, well, quite a valiant fight indeed. Just 20 seconds off the race win and finishes 16th. A proper Lionheart drive and so unlucky to miss out on the championship at the last moment. Sean Gardner, he was 17th, followed by Oscar Mangan, Pete Newman and Ellis Stevens. And last few, Wojciech Zawidovic, Michael Polishek, Carl Jansen, Neil Butler, and spare a thought for poor old Craig Williams. I'm sure he'll be absolutely mortified after that incident. Completely innocent, but unfortunately important in the outcome of the championship. Well. Where do we begin, Nolan Rempel, after all that?
Your guess is, quite frankly, as good as mine. I mean, what a fight. I mean, you had the on-track battling that was at first clean, then it took a bit of a turn. You had the photo finishes for some of these critical positions elsewhere in the championships. You had a last, not even a last lap, but a last race spill for the points leader. I honestly cannot possibly fathom how we could have gotten a bigger action than this. Even when Guinness had been taken out, it wasn't confirmed because there weren't enough points where McFarlane was to have to be able to clinch that title. He had to work his way up. It almost, this is going to be a bit of a stretch on this analogy, but it almost reminds me of the Formula E Season 2 championship where Lucas de Grassi and Nico Prost took each other out on the first lap of that final race, and Prost had to get that championship by getting the fast lap of the race. It was never settled, and did exactly what he needed to do to get that title done.
Yeah, it was you have to. The one thing I would say, Nolan, is aren't we lucky that we've had two championship contenders like Corrington Guinness and Ross McFarlane who have slugged it all season long. You know, Corrington's been, you know, his qualifying record has been incredible, as has his whole Corson Racing team. They've always been locking out the front row, often the top three. And, you know, Corrington's pace has been unmatched. 8 race wins, McFarlane just 3. But Ross just delivers under pressure. He just knows how to get that result and drag a result out when it seems like all is lost. He never gives in. He's got that, forgive me for saying it, he's got that Scottish tenacity that we have, and it really has played a factor in his championship charge. I mean, quite extraordinary. Now we do have one of our series admins, Andy Shield of 3M Honda, one of our series admins and racers. Let's get him in and have a chat. Andy, well, what did you make of that season finale?
Well, there was lots of trials and tribulations, really. It's just a shame. Obviously, Corrington got caught up in an early incident, which ultimately made the climax of the championship a little bit of a anticlimax, but not taking anything away from Ross, because obviously he's battled extremely hard throughout the season, as has Corrington. So would have liked to have seen it end under different circumstances, but overall, good season to get underway.
It certainly has been. I mean, it's two championship rivals who they both go about their business in quite a different way, but a very similar result.
Yeah, quite. I mean, they're both just phenomenal drivers. I mean, it's just been fantastic to kind of watch them battle week after week, and I think it's really helped the rest of the grid step up their game as well. And obviously there's been a few incidents over the season, but hey, it's touring cars, it's a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing. There are going to be incidents even with the best wheel in the world. So those guys just managed to keep the majority of their season their nose clean, and really demonstrated how to kind of race these cars and ultimately how to win a championship.
And finally, Andy, your own driving in this championship, you definitely win the prize for best looking car out there with the 3M livery, of course. But how have you felt about your own performance throughout the season here?
I'll be honest with you, I just haven't had the time to kind of put in the practice the other guys have, and I've just this isn't a kind of a class that I would typically race, so it was interesting and fun to try and do something a bit different outside of the GTs that I'm normally running around in. But I think there's some work we can do behind the scenes for season 2. We're going to have a real deep dive into the season, looking at, I guess, the balance of performance and if there are any other aspects we can do to enhance the series so that season 2 becomes builds on what we've accomplished in season 1.
Well, that was going to be my final question to sign off in. Can we take that as a confirmation of a season 2, Andy?
All being well,
I sound like Alan Partridge here, but yes. Have I got a second season?
Yeah, we'll certainly look to run a second one. We'll have a nice little break over summer, just to let everybody have a bit of a break, as we do with the GT series as well. Typically the summer we have off. It gives us a chance to do some planning and some reflection on some of the ideas that have drivers, and we'll come back with something a bit more polished. I guess just final things to say is that you guys fantastic as always in terms of the call on the broadcast, and big thanks to Freem for their sponsorship, and also for Craig's Setup Shop for their sponsorship as well for the season.
Well, it's our pleasure to be involved, Andy. Thank you very much for bringing us on board to do this series, and well done on organising a fantastic championship. And now we've got to look forward to Monday, World GT finale.
Exactly, and just my final shout, just thanks to the fellow admins and the race control behind the scenes, helping to keep things cordial between the drivers. Someone has to do it, so without them and their support and them putting the time in, we wouldn't have what we have today. So just a big thanks, and also to the drivers for turning up week in, week out.
Andy, thanks for coming in to join us, and looking forward to seeing the race season 2 when it comes along.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.
So, I'm very pleased to say we have our provisional pro class champion, Ross McFarlane, joining us in the commentary box. Ross, that is got to be one of the most intense season finales I've seen in my career. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, it's a mix of emotions. It definitely was intense. Lots of drama on the track, a little bit of drama off the track, and yeah, I guess I'm happy to win. You've always got to be there in the fight to get the victory at the end of the season, but it was very unfortunate for the other man.
I think that's fair to say. I think that's very, very, very nice to say that. I mean, throughout the season, Ross, it's been you and Corentin have gone about your business in a different way. Corentin and his course and racing colleagues have been so fast over one lap, and particularly in race 1, but you've been delivering a similar number of points and more points over the course of the whole championship, of course. How did you kind of take on that kind of mental challenge, watching them qualify and pole every week and win race 1 often? How did you control that in your own mind? How did you stay calm in that situation?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. They've got a much stronger group of guys at the front there, with Kieran, Corentin, Carl being the three, probably the 3 quickest TCR drivers going, and then Oscar to back them up as well when he puts in the effort into the race meeting. And it's been very tough for me to sit back and almost know that maybe 3rd or 4th is probably the best I'm going to score. They're very good at defending. I guess you call it fair. It's frustrating at times when you know that you have just enough pace to keep up and maybe challenge them, but you just don't quite get the opportunity. And yeah, it's just been about biding my time, seeing if I can take advantage of a check up here into a corner, an incident, just make a sneaky move in the 2nd race and 3rd race. But I've always been a notch off of Corentin and the guys throughout the season.
Well, it certainly came good in the end. I mean, final thoughts, Ross. Of course, this World Touring Car Series Championship in the bag, the inaugural series, going into Monday night World GT. You're going in with a chance of perhaps fighting for the championship there. I mean, it's how are you fitting in all the practice is what I want to know.
That's the secret. No practice. No, it's tricky driving the 2 cars. They drive quite different, but not too dissimilar that it's impossible to jump between the 2. I'm looking forward to the GTs. I probably have enjoyed driving the touring cars a bit more. They're a bit more of my style. I've driven them more over the years, but no, the GTs are great as well.
Well, Ross, congratulations on winning what has been an incredibly tough fought fight for this championship. Well done, and good luck for Monday night.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
So we also have our AM Championship provisional champion, Jake Blackhall, who is down with Nolan Rempel.
I certainly am. So, Jake, tell me a story about what it was like for you entering this final race with that massive buffer that you had, been able to more just kind of take it easy, unlike the Pro Championship guys out there.
Yeah, thanks, Nolan. A bit of a cruisy night. I shouldn't say it like that, but it was just try to keep my nose clean, try not to get involved in any incidents. Obviously, couldn't drop the last round, so just had to make sure we didn't do anything silly that could get us involved in an accident that we didn't need to be a part of. Especially being Daytona, there's obviously the massive draft that you get off with these cars. It's hard to worry about incidents if you're in that big battle pack. So you've just got to keep your head down and concentrate on the championship at hand, which is what we were able to do.
And of course, with you having one AM Championship in hand now, do you plan on making another run at it when we hopefully eventually come back for Season 2?
I wish I could, but I think I'm going to get moved up to pro if that's the case. So we'll try and make a case at the Pro Championship, but it's hard. Those guys are super quick. Obviously, I race them in the Hyundai Championship as well, the Hyundai Global League, which is on this weekend for the last round. So fighting against those guys, they're very fast. So we'll see what we can do. But 8th overall in the championship, I'm pretty happy with that as well.
Well, in that case, I have to wish you the best of luck in the series going forward, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again in the future here pretty soon.
Yeah, thank you, Nolan. Just a big shout out to all the Pure Sims boys and our sponsors. They do an awesome work behind the scenes.
That was Mr. Jay Blackhall, your provisional AM class champion, taking it home for us here tonight. And, well, I'll pass it back to you then, Peter.
Thank you, Nolan. Well, on behalf of us all here at RaceSpotTV, we hope you enjoyed this season of the World Touring Car Series. And if you want to go back and watch any of the races, they're all there on our RaceSpotTV archive. Just click subscribe and pop into the video section and you'll find all of the races of this championship. It was certainly a thriller, and it was a pleasure to bring it all to you. On behalf of myself, Peter Mackay, and my broadcast colleague Nolan Rempel, and our producer Hugo Luis, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time here on RaceSpotTV.